the football transactions have been happening, and we didn't even get to Teron Armstead signing with the Dolphins. The Dolphins have spent so much money on offensive line and draft picks, and they can never block anyone. And now this guy is said to be, he doesn't play full seasons, but he is said to be a Pro Bowler 3 of the last 4 years at left tackle, which is not Tua's blind side, but is Teddy Bridgewater's blind side.
I can't believe that's a thing. Like, Teddy Bridgewater, come on.
He's not starting.
But answer the question as such. Like, why am I going into, like, I'm not a Tua guy, but I do not want to watch Teddy Bridgewater for 17 games.
But Bridgewater is coming in here back to Miami, and he is coming here to be a serviceable veteran backup, if that's what he must be, maximum professional who might be able to go 5-0 if your team is as good as the Saints were when that was the backup. But he's going to think of himself never as anything but a starter, because that's how a starting quarterback must think, any entry place that he is starting. And so if Tua gets hurt or whatever, he doesn't want to give credence to the idea that he's already become Brissett, because Brissett did the same thing when he came down here. He's like, I'm a starter. I am not a backup in this league, and I'm not willing to concede that.
I don't blame those guys, because perhaps in their minds, Tua hasn't shown enough to guarantee him a starting spot. It's not like you're coming in here and you're competing with Matt Ryan, or you're competing with, Matthew Stafford or someone like that. It's Tua.
I think Teddy Bridgewater, and knowing the delusional confidence that must be required to play that position in that sport where everything is crazy around you, and he's suffered some beatings. I don't believe Teddy Bridgewater is coming emotionally home to end his career because Miami's a nice place to retire. I believe he spotted this as a place like, oh, wait, they don't trust their quarterback totally.
Right.
I might be able to get in there and get a job. But the bigger football news today, and this is a giant surprise, I think. I don't think any of us had in play the idea that Kansas City's Tyreek Hill might be available, but the reports are, according to Ian Rappaport, that Tyreek Hill was made a substantive contract offer in Kansas City. He rejected it, and now he's been allowed to seek a trade. And I would think Kansas City would not, under any circumstances, want to trade that, because that is unlike anything else in the sport as a deep threat. I mean, Ruggs tried to be that, but there is no such thing as Tyreek Hill in the league. There's one of those, correct? The guy who's going to get you a 70-yard pass either on a bubble screen or 60 yards downfield, there's one of those.
I think there's one of those. There's certainly no one as good at it as Tyreek Hill. Maybe there's, a couple of other guys out there, but yeah, he is the guy, Dan. Like, he is so good, and I cannot believe he's available via trade if someone wants to go and get him. You have to give a lot, but
there's even more on this story. Adam Schefter, Jets and Dolphins are in serious talks to trade for Chiefs receiver Tyreek Hill, per league sources.
Oh, my God. I mean, the Jets won't know how to use him. I mean,
same here with Miami, mate. We are absolutely going to mess this up.
Mate?
Yeah,
Mate. Did you say betwixt earlier?
Yeah, betwixt.
Amin and I looked at each other
Betwixt
and
in
were
between.
Like,
yeah.
Did you just say betwixt?
I got some Twix right here.
Well, you do actually have Twix. He was
always
eating.
does,
He
yeah.
was betwixt in between, because Roy always has a Twix bar.
he loves the new kitchen. I mean,
He does.
Oh, man. It's the greatest thing to happen in my career, this new kid.
How about the air fryer? Game changer, like my slide whistle.
What happened to your slide whistle? Where is
You
it?
left it in the hotel room.
Where is
Yeah.
it? Changing
It's over there. I'll go get it.
whistle.
I'll be right back.
How
You
is it
returned the
that you-
triangle, too.
I thought this was a character that you were going to start around here that had his own sound effects with the slide whistle. But this is big news. The Dolphins, look, man, Stephen Ross is in his 80s. And we were talking a couple of weeks ago, as he tries to bring F1 to a neighborhood that does not want it. We were talking about Stephen Ross and mortality, and the idea that the Dolphins have in play, I've forgotten the man's name, but a successor to Stephen Ross in the event at his age that something happens. Stephen Ross was trying to get into the Sean Payton and Tom Brady game. Stephen Ross is done with the small stuff.
yeah.
Is that the right sound for done with the small stuff?
I don't know.
Stephen Ross, I feel like the owner of the Miami Dolphins, in a desperate play for either Deshaun Watson, and that one blew up in the Dolphins' face. You get all of the stain and none of the quarterback play. They miss on Deshaun Watson. They only get soiled by Deshaun Watson, but he tries to get in the Tom Brady game. And now he's going after Tyreek Hill and getting a left tackle for a quarterback whose blind side isn't the left side.
I mean, I will happily,
You're a word Dan said.
I should be careful about saying I happily welcome Tyreek Hill after the conversation we had about Watson last week. But, I understand the desire for a speed threat, but it just doesn't seem like they're building everything around a quarterback. Like everything, keep building around Tua. And they're doing that, but I'm not sure that helps.
Okay.
Like a speed threat, like
You'll find out if he's good, Chris. I mean,
but
he's
you
got to
need
tackle.
a Mahomes-like arm strength
No,
to
but
match
no.
Why
that
would
properly.
Tyreek Hill want to
Wait.
leave Mahomes, by the way?
But just, guys,
Money?
if I may, the Dolphins being in this one surprised me because I don't know what Devontae Parker's situation is, but are we talking about him as a 3? Because now you got Waddle and Tyreek Hill and a new coach with a couple of fullbacks who's bringing in the Shanahan scheme. Like, that's a lot of wide receiver power. You are absolutely building as if you believe in Tua. You are building around that position. You just spent, again, millions of dollars on another offensive lineman for 20 years, Stugotz.
Right.
First round picks, and they can't block anybody.
Hill would be your 1. Devontae Parker would probably...
No,
yeah,
Waddle would be your 1.
Waddle
would
would
be fighting to be your 1.
Hill and Waddle would be 1, too. It doesn't matter. I don't know if Parker's included in that deal going back to the Chiefs, if indeed they make a trade, but that makes their
Or
trade...
would Waddle be?
I don't know.
Oh, Mike
I don't
McDaniel,
know.
when he was on the show, he said, give me a name, give me a thing that you're excited about. And before you could finish the sentence, he shouted Waddle at you.
He told
Yeah.
everybody to get Waddle in fantasy, but the Dolphins, this is a bit of, we are stunned by this, are we not? Not just that Tyreek Hill is available, but the Dolphins being in play. This has happened. They got Mike Wallace. They tried this with Tony Martin and Mike Wallace. They never have the deep threat.
Brandon Marshall. He's not a deep threat, but just like they've gone for speedy, big name wide receivers. And like I would get a 16-year-old Chris would be so excited about this right now. But like I look at the current team, I'm like,
You think the
this
Dolphins
doesn't make any
You
sense.
think the Dolphins can
What?
ruin him the way that they ruin? Well, of course, Stugotz
Why are
wants
you
the
guys so
name.
jaded? Just be happy.
Wait, but how does Tyreek Hill not make sense for any team?
For that quarterback, like you have to be
yeah,
precise.
he can take his 5-yard bubble route and turn it up 90 yards. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah.
I don't think there's a team in the league that wouldn't want Tyreek Hill, but he has soiled by Jessica.
Hold on, Dan, because if they're playing 2 high safeties, what we've been watching is Tyreek Hill hasn't been able to go down the field, right? We've been seeing him play at the line of scrimmage, and he's been a completely different player. So if Tua is going to play the 5-step drop or the 3-step drop and throw a 5-yard slant, we just saw that, and it wasn't working with Kansas City.
My question to you is Whittingham's cynicism born of 20 years of Dolphin failures, 20 years of waiting around for the quarterback to be good, 7 of those years spent arguing about Tannehill?
Of course it is. I'm going through the same thing with the Jets. I don't know if the Jets know how to utilize Tyreek Hill correctly.
But with the Dolphins, we have seen Wes Welker. Jesus Christ. We saw this happen in the AFC East as the Patriots were empire building. Bill Belichick comes in and says, this 1 touchdown receiver for the Dolphins on a 1-15 team is crushing me with his precise route running. He's got 1 touchdown. I want him. I will give a 2nd-round pick and a 7th for him. And everyone's like, what does Belichick know? Oh, he knows it's Wes Welker. And you're saying that Wes Welker can be 1 touchdown here and close to the Hall of Fame good there. Wes
Yes.
Welker here was mistaken at his apartment complex when he told a neighbor that he played for the Miami Dolphins. Was told by that neighbor. We have that sound somewhere.
It's the best.
No wonder we're bad at football. No wonder we're 1-15. You're of the belief, Whittingham, that if the Dolphins had Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill, that they would all be bad here? That
No.
if I put them here, they couldn't do anything?
I mean, all evidence to the contrary, but I do not believe in organizational malaise, right? That the organization is like the logo, the building in which they play is responsible. Like each individual coaching staff and GM has had their own reason why they failed. I don't believe that the Dolphins should stop trying to go for first-round quarterbacks because they failed with Tua, or if you keep trying, right? Like you keep going. However, I think with the current setup, to make Tyreek Hill the highest paid wide receiver in the league does not solve the Dolphins' problems, in my opinion. So it just feels like a misallocation of resources in the current environment.
The organizational malaise isn't that like there's some mystical thing that's going to make this guy suck when he comes here. It's that you don't have the infrastructure to make it work. That's why it fails. It's the reason why
You don't have Mahomes.
right, or not just, or even if you had Mahomes,
Right.
he'd be great, and then you'd fail everywhere else in terms of getting him the pieces that he needs, in terms of having everybody pulling in the right direction. You guys remember, was it 3 years ago when right after Baker Mayfield's rookie year, we talked about would you rather have the Packers job or the Browns job? And Mike was like, oh, no way, I'd absolutely have the Browns job. Look at they have all this and that and that. And I'm like, Mike, don't you understand though? Like organizations that are awful over decades, that's not a coincidence. That's not bad luck. That's because somewhere in there, the leadership and decision-making is shit in this organization.
They made the playoffs 2 years later and got to the second round. Like the Browns overcame their own malaise.
Do you want to call that overcoming? To do have that one blip and then go back to being terrible again?
They're a 500 team. Like they're not the
below
Browns. They're not
you
the
can't-
Browns anymore.
There are no more 500 teams.
That's a good point.
That's why Steve, what's his name, can't coach anymore.
There is a connection here. Schefter's reporting that the Dolphins assistant general manager Marvin Allen was with the Chiefs, director of college scouting for 5 years. He's the guy who drafted Tyreek Hill. So it's amazing that the Chiefs would trade him inside the conference, but they'll trade him to the Jets or the Dolphins. If Bill Belichick came calling, there is no way the Chiefs are picking up that phone.
If you're gonna slander Jeff Fisher, at least get his name right.
Steve,
something.
whatever his name is, our basketball expert called Jeff Fisher. But
He looks
we
like
have
a Steve.
We have to stop. Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Does Jeff Fisher look like a Steve? But while you were talking, this is
my
what was
God.
happening. Stugotz was not listening to anything you were saying because First Take was doing Mad Dog's A-list, top 5 scorers in NBA history. Are you ready? Top 5 scorers. Wilt right now is on the screen in black and white.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Well,
Number 3.
please, number 5 is not a surprise at all.
Pistol Pete.
Number 4.
Kobe Bryant.
Number 3.
Wilt the Stilts.
we got to pace ourselves because
No, we don't.
No,
No.
the Kareem. He's going through
I
Kareem
got
right
him.
now.
Well,
he's good.
spoiler alert.
Yeah.
You mean?
Guys,
You
you have
know
to
who
listen.
number
already.
1 is. You know who
Rudy.
number 1 is.
Betwixt.
You know, right? We've got
You never know with Doggy, though. I
We've
will
got
tell you.
Kareem at 2. You
That's
never
true.
know. Well, so who's going to be left off here? What do you mean you never know
You
with
never know
Doggy?
with
There's
Doggy.
one player missing from that list, the most obvious player. What do you think it's going to be somebody other
You
than
never
Michael
know.
You
Jordan?
never know with Doggy.
That Michael Jordan is not going to be in the top 5
Well,
scorers
who's
of all
number
time.
2? Who's number 2?
Kareem is number 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
You never know with Doggy. Good Bruce Willis film.
Yeah.
We are waiting around here for it,
God.
and Stephen
Stop
A is
popping up.
making so many faces.
Wow.
Oh,
Number one.
disappointing. Yes, Michael.
Shocker.
No.